We're just sitting here. You know, it really speaks volumes because we do more damage to the Republicans. We've spoken more truth on the Republicans than any Democrat in the last year or 18 months. By far, wouldn't you say? We are, I mean, I'm finished with it. I mean, we don't even mention the guy's name on the air anymore because it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. We have to clean out our own house. And so we are sitting here doing much more on the Republicans, and yet the media should love us for that.
Except we're taking on the wrong Republicans.
Exactly right.
It's the Republicans that they absolutely love, and MSNBC loves to put on the air because all these Republicans do is bash other Republicans who are conservative.
And our concern is that you are going down a road and you're going to get worse and worse and worse. You're going to get more and more radical as the time goes on, right? And they're saying you're going to get more and more radical. Yes, it's true. You're going to get more and more radical. And so I am going to become more and more attached to the Constitution. But where is their radicalism leading? No one will really even discuss. We're going to do a whole episode next week on de Blasio, the guy who's running for mayor of New York and probably going to win. This guy was helping to fund the Soviets. Not kidding you.
You would think that'd be a point on which we can all still agree?
Right.
That's a bad
apparently
thing?
We can't.
Apparently not.
Apparently we can't. This guy spent his wedding night going down to Cuba.
No, his honeymoon, Glenn. Not his wedding night. Don't spin this.
His honeymoon. How did you even do this when he got married? How did you even go down to Fidel Castro's Cuba? Answer: if you are helping fund the Soviets, they let you right in. So this guy is so far left that he's not even recognizable to the American system.
And he doesn't deny any of this. He was helping the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. And his response is, well, we didn't have good policy back then, so... Oh, okay, so you fought against the interest of the United States of America. Huh. Seems like we used to have a word for that. I'm not sure what it was.
No, we still do. Now those words are President of the United States. Because that's exactly what's happening. We don't have good policies in the Middle East, and we can all agree on that. We don't have good policies in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And so what is the president doing? Arming Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. De Blasio's did exactly the same thing. They're an enemy of the United States, the Soviet Union. I'm going to go in because I don't agree with the policies, and I'm going to go help them against the interest of the United States.
How are you not considered a traitor? How are you not?
I have to tell you, there have been 7 people at the time of Tokyo Rose. There were 7 people that were convicted of treason. And she was not even given life. She was given 8 years, and she spent, I think, 5 in prison and released on good behavior. So there is some degree of treason because 7 people at her time, her trial was the most expensive trial in American history at the time. Wow. That's phenomenal.
Wow.
And they didn't have a case against her. Here's what's so amazing. The media, Walter Winchell, found out that she was going to be granted her American status again and be brought over, and he could not take it. He said, how can somebody like Tokyo Rose be allowed back into the United States? She was an American citizen, and he couldn't do it, so he whips everybody up into a frenzy. Well, the reason why she was allowed is because they did an investigation, and they found out she was a good guy. She was on our side. And so what did they do? Because the president at the time needed to have good poll numbers, and Walter Winchell had whipped everybody up into a frenzy, they went over and they actually got people to perjure themselves. They suppressed and destroyed evidence. There's very few recordings left of what she did. And the eyewitnesses didn't come out until the 1970s. For years, they were told, keep silent. It's amazing to me how we can just erase history, change history. If it's convenient for somebody, if the press wants to gin something up, they will destroy somebody so they can look strong. The truth doesn't seem to matter to people. Truth really matters to me. Really matters to me. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I was doing the things that most people in the media do. And they just do it, and they can make all kinds of excuses for themselves. But the truth is the truth. Last night we were reading the scriptures with the kids at dinner, and it was all about the Holy Spirit. And it was all about, he will impress the truth on you. That's his main job. Impress the truth. And then you cannot deny the Spirit. Once you know, if you deny it, you're in big trouble. And they're going to try to tell you that they didn't know. In the end, they'll say, I didn't know. Just like they did in World War II. We didn't know. Yes, we did know. We had photographs of Auschwitz. We knew exactly what it is. Well, we didn't know. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And it doesn't matter. I don't need to prosecute you. I don't need to. But just know that you are living in historic times. And there is no excuse. You know. That's the good thing. You do know. And hopefully, you don't just take it from me. Hopefully, you go to the Huffington Post. Hopefully, you go and you watch the other people and you listen to the other people. And you've opened your mind. Don't listen. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from anybody. Don't take it just from them. Go do your own homework. We had, what was it, the woman that was on with us? She called in, and she was wasn't she like an atheist, progressive liberal, just like 2 years ago, and started listening? Do you remember this? Just happened just 6-8 months ago. And she was, I know, Jeffy, 6-8 months. It's a funny joke. I got it. Jeez. So anyway, she just said that she was listening to us and she changed. Do you remember that call,
yeah,
Pat?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember her exact story. But here's a woman who I so profoundly respect. She changed her opinion. She did her own homework. Mm-hmm. Instead of just going down this road blindly and accepting it. How is it we trust our government so much? Any of us? Why would we trust our government when our founders told us not to trust our government? We trusted. How many of us have the same opinion that we had in 2004? How many of us have the same opinion on our foreign policy? See, that's a great thing. We're closed-minded. We're bigoted. We're old school. No. Most of us, within the sound of my voice, have changed our opinion. Now, some of us, I guess, were really, really super smart, and they were on it. I mean, I love these guys who I meet, and they were like, Glenn, I've been on this since 1991, and I knew exactly. Well, let me tell you something. Pat told me in 1991, by 2012, Glenn, you will not recognize the country, and we will be on the verge of bankruptcy, and we'll be on the verge of international chaos, and the country will be on the edge, and you will possibly not be able to save it. It's what it will look like in 2012. And in 1991, I said, you're out of your mind. Do you know what has to happen? You're crazy. As it turns out, he was exactly right. He was way ahead of anybody else. But Pat, have you changed your opinion on our policies and some of the things that we have done under Republican rule and everything else? Have you changed your opinions? Let's say about foreign wars and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a guy who was way ahead, but still changed his mind in the last few years. And in fact, the last year, he has even greatly changed. Let me ask my friends on the other side, have you changed? Have you reevaluated what you have done? Because the whole world has opened up into all new experiences. And if you really think, if you haven't changed at all, if you're like, nope, I believe exactly what I believed in 2004. I believe that was true then, and I believe it's true now. There's some things, yeah. But I'd say the majority of this audience has been rocked to the foundation. And that's what we're trying to correct. That's why we're not going after the Democrats as hard as we are the Republicans, because we're trying to correct it. We see it. The Democrats just got eaten by this global socialist movement. Just eaten. And the Democrats just went along with it. And most of them didn't know, because when it was happening, I don't think you were having a crisis. There wasn't a country crisis when that thing started to go awry. Now, there's a crisis. And so now we're awake, but where are you? And anybody who is a Republican and voted for Republicans, I mean, I really think, we talked about this yesterday, 34 or 38% Republican support in Congress. That 38% of the American people think that the Republicans are good. I'll bet you 20% of that 35 or whatever that percentage is, I'll bet you 20% of that is from people who are just like, no, I don't like them. It's just better than the other side, but I don't really like them. I'll bet you there is only 10, maybe even less, 10 to 15% of the people who say they're Republican are actually like flag-waving Republicans. Oh, yeah, no. Our side's got it down. What would you say the real number is?
I think 10 to 15 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, think so?
Sounds about right.
10 to 15. The rest of
I don't understand that either, because I don't get the party affiliation thing. I don't get the loyalty to a party. The loyalty, you would think, would be to the principles the party represents. And when the party stops representing those principles, as the Republican Party has done, you would think your loyalty would then shift away from them. So I don't understand just the strict party affiliation.
Well, it's the same thing. Quite honestly, it's the same thing. It's the same thing I feel. I'm not an American because I'm an American. I'm an American because I believe in the principles, in truth, justice, and the American way. Truth means truth, even the hard truth. Truth means you don't put people like Tokyo Rose in prison. This doesn't happen. Truth means you recall all of the Congressional Medals of Honor for how many were there? 20? 30? How many Medals of Honor were there for Wounded Knee?
20,
that was a bloodbath.
20 or 22.
Yeah.
It was in the 20 range. Yeah.
What we did to the Indians in Wounded Knee is obscene. And I've got the documentation to show you. We knew at the time, and we gave those medals to cover it up. Truth. You don't cover it up. If you make a mistake, you learn from it, and you make sure it never happens again. I bet you try to take those medals away now, I'll bet you couldn't do it, because they'd still be fighting to cover up the truth that was a bloodbath and a massacre, an American massacre. And you'd have good people that would stand up and say, hey, that's not good for the country. What do you mean it's not good for the country? To tell the truth? I'm an American because I believe in the truth. I believe in justice. I don't mean social justice. I mean equal justice. I don't care if you are rich or you are poor. If it is right, then justice will be served at all levels. Against Obamacare? Well, yeah, okay. I'm against it because it violates many principles that I see. But here's one of them. It has to be applied equally. Equal justice. If it's good enough for the giant corporation that can afford to have all these people line up and come to work for them, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. If it's not good for them, it's not good for me. I'm a small business guy. I can't afford to go buy the senators, buy the representation, to hire a bunch of lobbyists. I can't do that. GE can. So GE gets a special exemption. So their business is fine. But they need that special exemption because they know it will hurt their business and probably come close to putting them out of business. Well, what about me? I'm an American. I don't wave the flag because it's the flag and I was born here. I wave it because I believe in the truth. I believe in justice, equal justice applied to every single man. And the American way is not that I get a house, not that I get a car, not that I'm promised anything, that I have an equal opportunity. Don't judge me by the color of my skin. Don't judge me by my religion. Judge me on my actions. Judge me on my merits. And you know what? Let me go a step further. Don't judge me at all. God will be my judge. But as long as I am willing to work, as long as I'm willing to do these things, and I have it within me, I just want a fair shake. That's the American way. Give me a fair shake. Treat the next guy exactly the way you treat me. We all know this to be true because we all work for companies, and we all come into work and we're like, why is this person still here? Well, because they have a special deal. Well, because of this. Well, because of that. No. I mean, we've had some problems in our company, and I have to decide who I'm Caesar, who lives and who dies. I cannot say if you don't treat this person, if you treat this person differently than this person, it's wrong. And that's the American way.
Isn't that the foundation of American exceptionalism, too?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Setting up right now, the engineers are setting up, as you might be able to see here, to broadcast for the first time in quite a long time from Tokyo Rose's microphone.
Well, we hope to broadcast from, Stu. We hope to broadcast.
Thank you, Geraldo. I don't know if, to be honest, if it's going to work. I mean, this is something that's from World War II. It's never been used since. So
we're hoping at least we can broadcast a little audio from it.
That's right. We're hoping there's something in there more than the vault. And we don't know at this point if that's going to be true. Seriously, like, you could see them setting up. There's a lot of effort that goes into this, and it's pretty cool. If it works, it's going to be pretty amazing. At this point, I'm a tad skeptical.
If it works, it's going to sound like garbage.
Yes,
I will tell you that.
Oh yeah,
many people are saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you so?
That's what we're hearing.
Yeah,
Jeffy's
preparing
for. There's
not a golf
these microphones. This microphone, this particular one, not the ones that these guys use, are completely different. This is old technology called a ribbon microphone, and it has a very thin aluminum ribbon. This would be a steel ribbon in here, and it is extraordinarily difficult. If I dropped it, it would break and shatter the ribbon, and so that's what makes this microphone sound so crisp and clean, and it's really, really delicate. For this thing to have survived this long, I don't know how. If it survived, if my guess is if it works, I don't think it'll either work or not work. But
that makes sense.
Another Glenn Beck prediction.
That was
no. It's not like I don't think it will sound crappy. It's either going to be clean.
Oh, really? You don't think it will?
I don't think so.
Huh?
Tom, a ribbon would either break. It wouldn't. I mean, it would either be really clean like this, or it would be.
That would be something.
No way. There won't be any distortion or anything else.
Really?
There's no chance it sounds like the mic you're on right now.
I don't think so either.
I think there's a 0%.
But it'll be
this
interesting.
This is a knockoff of this microphone. This is made by Japan. Yeah. And they couldn't obviously.
Is that one made in Japan still?
No. This is an RCA. This is American made.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
And
in fact, did we not go over there and fix most of their technology? Because Japanese technology, if you remember, especially at this time period, was like a joke. It was garbage. Toyotas in the 70s were made fun of. And they were crap can cars.
Oh, yeah.
And then GM went over and helped them fix their vehicles and then got their butts kicked because of it. Because then they started to take off, and I guess it was the mid-'80s by the time the Japanese products started to really.
Oh, I remember, that's when I grew up with mid-'80s, and I remember that still being the
thing,
predominant thing.
So maybe it was late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, because it was like, you're going to get a Japanese car. You could either get a good car, or you could get a Japanese car.
Right.
And they were cheaper, but like they were, made of tin. And, they would break down all the time and be expensive to fix. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
We're hoping this microphone is the exception to the rule.
Yes, we are.
Hi, Jeff. Why is... I don't know. Jeffy's trying to add drama.
He's doing golf commentary for some reason. We're not on the course. We're not on the course, no. Jeffy. So
an exciting moment in history.
Well, okay.
Today I came in and I was a little kind of in a mood, and I'm in a mood today because I can't take the lies. And little things that all kind of add up. The president called anybody who said they have raised taxes, and I can't take how many monologues we heard from other show hosts saying that anybody who says he's raising taxes is a liar, and the president was on the campaign trail saying they're lying about taxes and we have lowered taxes, et cetera, et cetera. Yesterday, the president came out and said, oh, okay, well, yes, We did raise some.
We did raise taxes on some things.
We did raise some taxes on some things. But it's no big deal. After the lives have been destroyed, now it's no big deal.
We did raise taxes on some things.
We had the people from the New York Times when Sarah Palin came out and said there are death panels in the president's health care package. Okay, they're death panels. It's clear. It's there. You can read them. They're not called death panels. It's part of the complete live system, and it has to happen that way. So the New York Times, they smear everybody, they destroy, and then after everything is in, they actually come out. The very same people come out. What is his name?
Krugman.
Paul Krugman comes out in a speech and says, okay, sure, it's true.
And we're also going to have to we're going to have to make decisions about health care, not pay for health care that has no demonstrated medical benefits. And so, the snarky version I use, which is, I shouldn't even say it gets me in trouble, is death panels and sales taxes is how we do this. But it's not that far out of reach.
Okay. There he is. Mm-hmm. He's admitting that it's true. And after they admit that it's true, okay, how do I get my reputation back? How do I get my life back? I told the truth. I stood through the storm. I tried to explain it. I used their own words. I showed it to you in paper, in their own writings, in their own words, and they destroyed me. They destroyed my reputation. I helped them, of course. I mean, by allowing them to get me all wound up and go crazy because of the lies, I helped them. I got it. But then they come out and admit it. And where do I go? Where do I go to get my reputation back? More importantly, on some of these things, they're so important. Where do the people go who are going to be facing these death panels? Where do they go? When there are shortages and we have a government bureaucracy making all of these decisions, and you're now stuck in the trap, where do they go? They go nowhere. It's too late. We told you about the NSA. I'll never forget telling you when I was on Fox and everybody recommended, please don't do this, Glenn, please don't do this. And I said, no, I don't have any evidence except my gut. My gut tells me you can't trust Google. They are in bed with the NSA, and all of these guys, they are reading your emails. They are collecting your phone calls. No, don't say that. Well, and I got on the air and I said, look, I don't have anything. I can just tell you I have a gut feeling because of everything else that is going on. You're just going to have to do your own homework. But I'll tell you, this is what I feel is happening. Oh, I was the Antichrist. And then when it started to come out about the NSA, the whistleblowers started to come out. We were reporting it, and we were saying, look, here are the whistleblowers. They still denied. Even with whistleblowers, they've destroyed the whistleblowers' lives. See, people just think that we're having these conversations and it doesn't matter. No, lives are being destroyed. Reputations are being destroyed, and they're being destroyed on lies. And so they've destroyed all the whistleblowers' lives. And they continue. The president was on Jay Leno just a couple of weeks ago saying we're not spying on anybody. We're not collecting these things. We're not doing those things. We don't have that capability. Well, do you know that these lies are so obvious and so dangerous that our own allies, why would Brazil hate us? Brazil has no reason to dislike us or dislike the president. It's not because of his skin color. It's not because of his policies. They're a socialist country. The president of Brazil yesterday comes out at the UN, or 2 days ago, in front of the UN. We have so discredited ourselves, and they have caught us in these lies of what the NSA is doing, that they have canceled their relationship meetings with us. They are not going. She was supposed to come and meet with the president. She's canceled it.
Official state business.
Yes, official state visit.
Yeah. Official
state visits are being canceled by our allies. Here she is.
The permanent mission of Brazil with the United Nations and even the very presidency of the Republic of Brazil were subject to interception of communications. Meddling in such a manner in the life and affairs of other countries is a breach of international law, and as such, it is an affront to the principles that should otherwise govern relations among countries, especially among friendly nations.
She's pissed.
She should be.
What we have before us, Mr. President, is a serious violation of human rights and civil liberties. A case of invasion and capture of confidential secret information pertaining to business activities, and above all, a case of disrespect against the sovereignty of my country.
The sovereignty of her country. Now, she's listened to, kind of. The press isn't making a big deal out of this. Since when? Since when has an ally said something like this that we don't pay any attention to? This is a serious violation of human rights. This is not Iran saying this about us. This is Brazil. This is a serious violation of human rights and a violation of our sovereignty. And people should listen to her because she's the president of Brazil. But the same could be said for you. They are violating your sovereignty. You are the sovereign of your own life. And if they want to tap you, if they want to wiretap you, if they want to collect things on you, then they're supposed to go to a court and make the case. Otherwise, they go to jail. That's the way it always has been, because it's a violation of your personal sovereignty and your basic human rights. If someone is always listening, is always watching, if somebody was always able to look into your house, you would know that's a violation of my human rights. In fact, the Panopticon prison, have you ever heard of the Panopticon? The Panopticon prison was an idea from a progressive back in the 1800s, I believe. May have been 17, but I think it was late 1800s. And it was this idea that what you do is you build a prison with no walls on the fourth wall. There's no fourth wall. It's just the bars, and you open that prison up and you build it into a circle. And now all of the doors open up to a center core to where the guards can constantly see in every single cell. They can see everything. Now, these are prisoners. You can see in every single cell. You can know exactly what's going on at all times. Prisoners. It was deemed a violation of human rights. Worldwide, a violation of human rights because it was too degrading to people to have even the idea that you could be seen all the time. It was too degrading. A violation of human rights. Look it up. Panopticon. And yet, that's what they're doing to you. And then they deny that it is happening. But as they deny it is happening, our own allies are telling us it is happening. They know it's happening. And they are saying, this is a violation of human rights from the United States of America. And yet, we don't talk about it because the government tells us. The government told us that it was okay to keep slaves. The government told us it was okay to wipe off the Indians off the face of the continent. The government told us it was okay to put people in prison because they spoke German in World War I. The government told us it was okay to round up the Japanese and put them in internment camps. The government told us that Vietnam, it was okay. They told us that Watergate wasn't happening. They've told us a lot of things. And it's when the American people decide to listen, unthinking, just listen and trust, when all indications are that's not true, that we get in trouble. All I do every day is ask people, is that really true? Do you know that to be true? And I do it for good reason. Because we have evidence that what they're telling us on both sides of the aisle is not true. What they're telling you in Syria is not true. They told us that it was going to be a glorious Jeffersonian revolution in Egypt. Are the people in Egypt better off or worse off? How about in Libya? How about in Iraq? When we leave in Afghanistan, better or worse? I have no hope. Last week, I was lucky enough to be able to find, out of just an amazing man's collection, a guy who has collected incredible pieces of history because he wants to keep them in private hands. Brent Ashworth is his name. And he showed me in his collection a microphone. And I said, "You got to be kidding me." And he said, "Nope." And I asked him, "Would you ever consider selling it?" And he said, "Nope." And then he wrote me back and he said, to you, I think I will. Because I know it has special meaning to you, and it should be known. Tokyo Rose is a woman that is synonymous with the word traitor. Tokyo Rose was an American citizen. She was probably the most listened to disc jockey in the history of the world. Her name is Iva Toguri. She was born here in the United States, and then she went over to Japan, and then the war happened. And she wanted to come back to the United States, but couldn't. But because she was an American citizen, because she spoke fluent English, she was forced to give broadcasts on Tokyo radio. And there were five different Tokyo Roses. She was Orphan Ann. And she refused. She said, "I'll play music, but I will not do the demoralizing messages." What Tokyo didn't know is that she was actually going to visit our soldiers who are kept in prison camps. And when they found out, they thought she was there doing their work. They didn't trust her. The prisoners didn't trust her, the Americans, and for a while. And Tokyo didn't really trust her either because she was an American citizen. So she was without a country and without friends. But she convinced the Americans, "I'm on your side." And she brought them medicine. She saved their lives. She brought them medicine. She brought them food. She smuggled it in. She risked her life to save ours. She would do broadcasts. In fact, one of the guys who this didn't come out until much, much later in the 70s, Robert White, one of the aerial gunners, he said he used to listen to Tokyo Rose. And he would listen to her, and she would always start the 0 hour. That was hers. And she would start, and she'd say, "Hi, boys, this is your old friend, Orphan Annie. I've got some swell records just in from the States. You better listen to them while you can, because late tonight our flyers are coming over to bomb the 43rd Group when you're all asleep, so listen while you're still alive." And the guys in Tokyo couldn't really understand, and they thought that she was demoralizing. What she was doing was she was telling, "Tonight we're going to go bomb the 43rd Group." She saved lives. When the war was over, a Navy officer came over and he burned the radio station down to the ground. But before he did, he wanted to kill her. But before he did, he took her microphone and he brought it back to the States. This is Tokyo Rose's microphone that is now sitting on my desk. It has not been used to broadcast anything since World War II ended and Tokyo Rose spoke into it. But she was speaking words that were truth, that were trying to help the American people. When the war was over, the investigators from the U.S. government came over and investigated her and found out from the prisoners of war that she was helping them. And she was helping write these broadcasts and had them help her write these broadcasts in ways that wouldn't be demoralizing, would show that we're on the inside. And so she was let go. But when she was coming over back to America, her home where she was born, what happened? A radio broadcaster, Walter Winchell, found out about it and thought this was awful that she could even become here. She could even come here. Here's Tokyo Rose. And so he started to gin up the American people and start to spread lies. And the government, because they needed to be popular and do the popular thing, they went over and they started to get people to perjure themselves and lie about her. She went to prison as a traitor to her country. It was a lie. I've thought a lot. What am I going to say if this microphone works? What would be appropriate to say in this microphone for the first time since 1945? We don't know if it works or what it sounds like yet. We're going to plug it in here in a second and try it for the first time. A message from the microphone used by a hero that was deemed a traitor. In a moment. I have no idea what this microphone sounds like or if it is going to even work. I can't imagine.
Hasn't been spoken into for 70 years. You got to imagine that's going to sound
well. I know
crystal clear.
Remember the microphone that we used to use in at Radio City? It's the same kind of microphone, built the same kind of way, same kind of technology inside of it. And we moved it from Radio City over to Avenue of the Americans across the street and about 3 blocks down, and it was broken in that move, and it was handled with kid gloves. We had to actually have it sent over. Even this microphone has been repaired since we've had it here, and it's only been in the studio, moved from the safe to my desk every day, and it's had to go in and be repaired. So I can't imagine that this is going to work, but I just started writing down some... As I was doing that monologue, I'm like, geez, it should be probably important to say something important in that microphone for the first time, if it does work. So
if it does take a number 3 value meal, extra supersize that.
If it doesn't work, it's it sure looks pretty.
Yeah, I know.
It sure
beautiful.
Beautiful. It sure looks pretty. But what an amazing piece of history. But it is kind of a little like the Geraldo Vault, and hopefully it won't end the same way. We plug it in and hopefully speak it in next. All right, just to recap here quickly. This kind of started today because I'm looking at how the news has recapped Ted Cruz and what he did on the floor of the Senate. And they have lied and distorted. They're making him into nothing but a green eggs and ham crazy man. And the media is doing it, and it's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans. The Republicans, I think, are even leading the charge on this one. And you can disagree with Ted Cruz, but have you ever really listened to his father? Have you ever listened to how he raised him? You think this guy is crazy? He's an Ivy League educated man. His father is a Cuban refugee. You might disagree with him, but he's not crazy. He's not out of control. And he's not a danger to the Republic. He's certainly not a guy who gets up for 20 hours and only talks about green eggs and ham. And for anybody else, if you stand up and you filibuster here in Texas about abortion and you think abortion is good, I think it's wrong. You think it's good? Okay, fine. Let the woman speak. And I defended her right to speak, and I chastised the Texas legislature for trying to fudge the law and change the time on stuff. They had to go back and do it right. If you're going to do something, do it right. And be honest about it. And let the woman be heard. Let her make her case.
Which they wound up doing, by the way.
Right. So what happens? She's a hero. And that's the way the press spins it. And you know what? If that's really what she believes, you look at her and say she's a hero. I have no problem with that. I strongly disagree with her, but I don't think she's insane. But that's what Americans do. That's not what Saul Alinsky does. Saul Alinsky says, destroy them. And so yesterday on CNN, you did not see any of the cogent arguments that were made by Ted Cruz. They smeared him. They destroyed him. On my desk is Tokyo Rose's microphone. This is the real microphone that she used to give all of those broadcasts. She was sentenced to 7 years in prison here in America. Her whole story is unbelievable and unbelievably tragic. But let's just say that the government did an investigation. They found nothing on her, so she was free. She wanted to come back to the home that she lived in. She was not only did nothing wrong, she was a hero. But the press got a hold of her and thought they could make things into something, and so they did. Her trial was the most expensive trial in American history at the time. And the government, because the people were now crying for it, because the media spun everything, took her words out of context, the government went over and paid people to perjure themselves. She went to prison. Her microphone hasn't been used since the 1940s, and since she used it, and a Navy officer came in and took it and then burned the radio station down. We believe this is the first time it's ever been plugged in, because we had to actually open up the plate last night and put new wires in because they had just been cut. And so we put new wires in the base of it. But this is all the original. Everything is original. This is the microphone she used. And I said last week I thought it would be interesting to plug it in and see if it worked. And I had no intention of bringing it on the air and doing this today until last night when we were doing it. And we were going to test it. And I said, no, wait. No, don't. Don't plug it in yet. Because if it does work, that's an important thing. And so we'll turn off this microphone, and I don't know, should we turn this one off? And I don't know if the other one, but...
Maybe we turn that one off when we find out that one works?
Yeah, turn this one off if we find out. So I'm going to go move to the other microphone. Hang on just a second.
Standing now.
Check.
Wow.
Check 1, 2.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yep.
Check 1, 2. I thought this morning, if it worked, what should be said? From the microphone used by the woman who identified herself as Orphan Ann. We called her Tokyo Rose. But her name was Iva Taguri, and she told the troops where the bombers were going to come so they could prepare. She hid all of her information. She disguised the words that she was using to hide them from Tokyo, not from the Americans. This microphone hasn't been used since her broadcasts in the 1940s. So here's what should be told. America, tell the truth. Tell the truth, even if it means in the end it hurts you. America, don't believe everything that your country and your government tells you. Because while many times, most times, it's true, in many critical times, it's an out-and-out lie. And it's not an American problem, it is a government problem. It is a human problem. People want power, and they will do anything to keep that power or enhance that power. It's incumbent upon you, if you want to remain free, to do your own homework. And if you don't, you will lose your freedom. And because of that, innocent people will suffer. Truth and justice is the American way. If this microphone could speak, it would tell you this. Your country told you lies. Iva Taguri was not a traitor. She was wrongly tried and wrongly imprisoned. And real justice for her is now beyond our grasp. But if this microphone could speak, all that it had seen or heard, my guess is it would say, listen to the voices of the past. Listen to the voices of the past that now cry out. You are the last bastion of freedom in the world. You are smart enough. You as an individual are capable. But if you don't do it, no one else will. Question everything that everyone says. Question the things that are even coming now out of this microphone, just as people questioned it 70 years ago. Find the truth. Because it depends on you. It's calling to you. Don't follow the crowd. Don't do the easy thing. Do the right thing. Because if you still want to believe that you should be called an American, you do the right thing because everything else is beneath you. That is incredible. That microphone can sound that good after all it has been through. History will always point us in the right direction. The Tokyo Rose story is one of 12 that I have selected to tell in a book that is coming out in a few weeks called Miracles and Massacres. The true history of America. The true stories that have been lost on who we really are. Because if you want to save the country and you want to save freedom, you have to start telling the truth about the miracles and the massacres that this country has seen and been involved in and caused. Okay, so you're not going to believe this. I mean, especially since nobody believed that we didn't select 8/28 because it was the day that Martin Luther King gave his speech. We did Restoring Honor. Nobody believed us. Nobody's going to believe this. And Pat said, what are the odds? And I said 1 in 365 and a quarter. But we get into the break, and Jeffy says, you're not going to believe this. I was doing some research while you were doing this. I'm looking her up. Her name is Iva Taguri. She died 7 years ago. Today is the day she passed away. What are the odds?
1 in 365.
0.25.
Yeah. That's really amazing.
It's amazing.
That's really
amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I was looking her up last night, and I looked up and I saw that she died 7 years ago because I was like, I wonder how long ago she died, and it wouldn't have been. I said to my wife, we were laying in bed last night, and I said, what a missed opportunity. I wish I could have, and we should start looking for some of these people. We should start looking for some of these people that are like this in history that we can reconnect with. And we should have a seance. I'm kidding. No, but seriously, we should start looking for some of these people that we can connect with that are part of history. Can you imagine? I mean, I can't believe Tokyo Rose was with us up until 7 years ago. And you don't really even... Did you ever see an interview with her or anything? I mean, here's a woman who was pardoned by Gerald Ford in the 70s.
I remember when we first found out about that, we were like, what? What was he thinking? And then we looked into it to find out what he was thinking.
And he's right.
And he was thinking exactly.
You won't believe there's been several things that Pat and I have talked about in history over the last really year. Several things that were like, that's not right. There's something wrong here. And we'd go back and look, and we'd start to uncover stuff, and then we turn it on to our researchers, and they uncover. And that's really the genesis of this book that we're putting out. And it's so funny because we've written them in story form so you can put yourself there. And I was giving a charity speech in Idaho about, a month ago or so. And it was just a question and answer. It was really cool. And it was just question and answer. People could stand up and just ask any question. And we were just having this great conversation. A guy stood up and he said, so let me ask you, when are you going to start writing history books that are stories so I can read them to my kids and so people will connect with these stories of American history again, and they're not just dry dates and places and stuff like that. And I had just finished the final edit of Miracles and Massacres, and I said, what are the odds? And he said, I don't know, probably 1 in 365 and a quarter. And I said, the next book we're doing is that very thing. Reconnect with history, because it will ground you and set things right. And you won't believe how much you don't know about our country that needs to be set right. Back in just a second.